What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys. And today's video, I'm going to be doing a horror movie related topic video. And these are going to be 10 horror movie DVDs that deserve Blu-ray releases. These are movies that still have yet to get Blu-ray releases. But as you see behind me, there are a lot of horror movies that are getting the Blu-ray treatment, even 4K treatment. But there are 10 movies plus honorable mentions that still need either Blu-ray releases or even DVD releases. But mostly Blu-ray releases, because most of them I do have are DVD releases. Honorable mentions, I do have some burned DVDs that still haven't seen a DVD release yet. However, most of the time, for example, a movie like Witch Trap, which was released by Vinegar Syndrome, went straight to a Blu-ray DVD combo. So these could be movies that I do in my honorable mentions that can hopefully get Blu-ray releases. So let's get started with my honorable mentions, and then we'll go to my DVDs. Now, like I said, there are 4 honorable mentions that are just burned DVDs that I've gotten from conventions. These, however, do not have, as I know of, DVD releases. So it'd be cool if they got a DVD release, but a Blu-ray release would even be better. The first two are its first movie and its sequel, Buried Alive. If you remember this one, this had Jennifer Jason Leigh in it and Tim Matheson. So great movie there. And even its sequel with Ali Sheedy would be really cool if these got Blu-ray releases, even DVD releases. But, you know, Blu-ray would be awesome. So, but those are just burned DVDs. I remember seeing those on HBO a long time ago and always wanted to see them again. Came across them at a convention, picked them up. So I was happy to own them, but I would love, you know, legit releases of those movies. A movie called Body Count, I think, has a DVD release from a different country, but the US never got one. So this is a burned DVD, but I would love maybe even a Blu-ray DVD combo from a company to release this, because this is a really good slasher movie. I really enjoy this a lot. David Hess is in the movie. If you've not seen it, if you find it at a convention or look it up online, it's worth watching. One of my favorite ones. So hopefully one day this gets a Blu-ray release. So that would be neat. And then this does have a DVD release from Anchor Bay. I unfortunately have a burn, and it has some, you know, DVD releases in different other countries. But as far as the US goes, the only DVD that was available came out in 2000 from Anchor Bay, and that is The Midnight Hour. I love watching this in October. I would love if this would get a Blu-ray treatment. I'm really surprised that we have not seen a Blu-ray of this movie or any other DVD release of this movie. So, but yeah, The Midnight Hour, that's a lot of fun. It's a great October traditional movie to watch. This one is a Warner Brothers Archive DVD, but I would love for this to get a Blu-ray release. That is My Demon Lover. That's a really good movie right there. One of my favorites. Like I said, this is a Warner Brothers Archives DVD, so it did come out on DVD, but it's one of those DVD on-demand copies. So, My Demon Lover. And then a documentary that I'm just going to throw as a honorable mention that I would love, tongue twisters, that I would love to get a Blu-ray release, and that is Going to Pieces, the rise and fall of a slasher movie. So I don't know if you guys have seen this one. I know, you know, it came out like over a decade ago, but you know, this is one of my favorite documentaries, one of my favorite horror movie documentaries, covering slasher films up until like the mid 2000s. Great documentary. I would love for this to get a Blu-ray release. I doubt it will ever get a Blu-ray release, but it is a great one. And if you can get your hands on it, definitely do so. If you love slasher movies, if you love like them talking about the beginning of the slasher to the end of the slasher, or kind of like when it was slowly taking a fall and then kind of rebirthed, this is a great documentary to check out. Going to Pieces, one of my favorites. Now going into my top 10, starting from 10 to number 1. These all have, of course, DVD releases. I'm going to show you. But I would love for these to get Blu-ray releases. This one I'm surprised we haven't got a Blu-ray release yet. I think 88 Films released it on Blu-ray, but as far as the US goes, we do not have a Blu-ray release, and that is Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice. Now, this movie was a film for the longest time you can only get on VHS, and in fact, I remember renting it from a video store in Arkansas on VHS. They had it on VHS. I so wanted it, but they were only renting it. And I just had a blast with this movie. You know, the first Children of the Corn nowadays is, you know, campy. This is even campier, but it's not like far camp like some of the later sequels went. It's kind of like in between. But Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice, I've always enjoyed this movie, and hopefully one day we do get a Blu-ray release, because for most part, a lot of the sequels have gotten Blu-ray packs, you know, where they're all in a Blu-ray pack, but Children of the Corn 2, for some reason, never got that Blu-ray release. So one day, hopefully, we get that. That would be really cool. It's one of my favorites. Number 9 is Hellbent. I've talked about this movie several times. It is a October traditional movie for me to watch, but this is just a really awesome slasher movie that, you know, not only is it LGBT, you know, it's a gay theme movie, but it's also a slasher film, and I love it. It's so good. Even if, you know, you're just a slasher movie fan, I think you would enjoy this one a lot. Really cool killer in this movie, some pretty brutal kills, and, you know, I was not really expecting to love this movie when I first saw the trailer, because the trailer is really bad. At least one of them is. Very cheesy, and you almost think this is just going to be a very, very bad slasher movie, but it's actually one of the better slasher movies in my opinion, especially modern slashers from, you know, the 2000s. Yeah, love Hellbent, and if you haven't checked it out, try to get it. This DVD is long out of print, but I would love for a Blu-ray company to release this one, so very cool. A Wes Craven movie that does not have a Blu-ray release, and in fact the only way you can get this is through the Twisted Terror collection pack, and that is Deadly Friend with Christy Swanson. Love Deadly Friend. This is one of those films I remember just having, you know, vivid memories of before I saw it again when it was on Monster Vision, and I always remember the ending of the movie, which I'm not going to spoil it for you, but that ending I just had in my head as a child, and growing up I kept thinking, what is that movie? What, you know, I kept repeating over and over in my head, what is that movie with that ending, because I could never find it. And then I remember looking it up, there was VHS tapes of it, and then I found out they were releasing it on DVD, so I picked it up at my local Walmart at the time. And yeah, I think it was like around October that I got it. But I would love for this movie to get a Blu-ray release. I'm still surprised it has yet to get a Blu-ray release. I think it deserves it a lot. So number 8 for movies that deserve Blu-ray releases. Number 7 is Alone in the Dark. Now this is a early 80s, I would say it's a mix of a slasher film, but it's more thriller and suspense than a slasher movie. It does have slasher movie elements into it, but it's more of a thriller. It's a home invasion type of film. I love Alone in the Dark. You know, you have a great cast in this film. You know, you have Martin Landau, Jack Palance, probably saying his last name wrong, I'm sorry, and Donald Pleasance, and then, you know, other familiar faces. But yeah, this movie doesn't get a lot of talk. I mean, if you're a horror movie fan, if you love 80s horror movies, you probably have heard about this one. You might have even seen it. But not a lot of people talk about this. And I wish this would get a Blu-ray release, because it definitely deserves it. This DVD I know is long out of print. I remember getting it when it was like $4 on Amazon. It now goes for almost $100, if not more. But Alone in the Dark, yeah, I would love for this to get a Blu-ray release. That is a great movie. Number 6 is another Warner Brothers Archive DVD. So it's been released, but it's technically also a DVD on-demand copy. I would love for this movie to get a Blu-ray release, and it's perfect because it's April Fool's Day, and I'm talking about Killer Party. Another great one here, and not a lot of people talk about this one. I think this is so good. It is a slasher movie, but it has a mix of other genres in it. And it came out in 1986, the same year as April Fool's Day. And I feel like this one kind of fell under the radar a little bit. April Fool's Day is kind of an underrated, horror movie gem, but this one really is. And if you're looking for some new horror movies to check out, try to pick this DVD up if you can. But hopefully one day we get a Blu-ray release of this, because it definitely deserves a Blu-ray treatment. So, very good movie. Number 5 and number 4 kind of come hand to hand. They're kind of all in the same series. But number 5 is actually a double feature pack I have, and that is Prom Night 3, The Last Kiss, and Prom Night 4, Deliver Us from Evil. Now, I'm not a big fan of the third film, but it does have its cult following, so that definitely deserves a Blu-ray treatment. And if they actually release the uncut version of the film, I would probably pick that up. But I'm more of a fan of Prom Night 4, Deliver Us from Evil, and in fact, in my honest opinion, it is my second favorite after the first movie, Prom Night 2 being very close, like in my top 3, it's in my top 3. But Prom Night 4, I know it's not everybody's, cup of tea. I love it just because it is more slasher based, like with the first movie. And I've always loved the movie. It's one of my favorite ones, and it's very underrated as far as, a horror movie goes, a slasher movie, and a sequel. Not a lot of people know about Prom Night 3 and Prom Night 4, especially Prom Night 4. But I love that movie, and this is a really cool, DVD to own. I got it for $5. It is from Artisan DVDs, so that company's not around anymore. So I would totally love if this would get a Blu-ray treatment at some point. Both of them, make it a double feature pack, put them out separately, but just release it. That would be very cool. And then, like I mentioned, and it's interesting because Part 4 I prefer over this movie, but there's more of a cult following with Part 2, so I'm going to rank it a little bit higher. However, I still love this movie, and I love that it actually stands out and it's not like a slasher movie, because the first movie was a legit slasher. This is more of a supernatural slasher movie. But that is Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2. Now, I'm very surprised that we have not got a Blu-ray release of this. I don't know when it's gonna come out. I would love if Scream Factory or some other company would release this, because they've released so many great ones, and for some reason Prom Night 2 or Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2 is yet to get that Blu-ray release. However, it did get released on DVD, and again, it was kind of like Deadly Friend and some other movies that took forever for it to come out on DVD, but it finally did. I know this is long out of print. I had the VHS tape for a long time, and then the DVD came out, and I remember getting it at Best Buy for $8 brand new, and now this thing goes for quite a bit of money. But yeah, this would be one I would love if they would release a Blu-ray release of, and I think a lot of people would too, because I know a lot of people prefer this over the first movie. I'm more of a fan of the first Prom Night, but I know a lot of people love Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2, and I'm one of them. So if they would release this on Blu-ray, I think that would be a treat for a lot of people. Number 3, again, another one I'm surprised no one has released this on Blu-ray, and it comes from Paramount, but that is The Stepford Wives. Our Scream Factory right now, they're slowly releasing Paramount titles. Tongue twister there. Can't speak. They're slowly releasing Paramount titles, and I would love if the original Stepford Wives would get a Blu-ray release. Again, another one of my favorite ones. One that I can go back and watch every few years, and I still love it. I think it's a very eerie movie. I love the cast. If you've seen the 2004 remake, that is definitely more comedy, where this is straight up a horror movie, suspenseful thriller. But yeah, I'm surprised we haven't got a Blu-ray release of this. Same author who wrote Rosemary's Baby wrote Stepford Wives, but this one I feel is it is a very underrated movie. Not a lot of people talk about this movie. But if you want a really good horror movie, a really good suspense thriller, The Stepford Wives is definitely one to check out. If you've seen the remake, like I said, that is more comedy. This is all suspense, and it still holds up really well today. This is a old Paramount DVD. This came out back when the remake came out in 2004. So this really needs a Blu-ray release, and hopefully one day we get it. Number 2 is one of my all-time favorite slasher movies, and of course this had to make my list. He Knows You're Alone. So good, so eerie, so creepy. You know, if you've seen the movie Justin Russell's The Sleeper, which I absolutely love, there's some influence that this movie had on The Sleeper, from the look of the killer to the setting. Just so cool. And He Knows You're Alone, you know, came out around the time of a lot of slasher movies. And like Going to Pieces, if you watch that documentary, they mention this, and that documentary is the reason I found out about this movie. But He Knows You're Alone, one of my favorite ones, absolutely love it. You know, early role from Tom Hanks, that's really cool. The killer's creepy in the movie. Like I said, if you've seen The Sleeper or even Slumber Party Massacre, they all have that same look, and he's so good in this, so creepy. But yeah, He Knows You're Alone. It's been one I've wanted on Blu-ray for the longest time, and we've had so many slasher movie gems come out, but yet we still have yet to get a He Knows You're Alone Blu-ray. So that's my number 2. I love that. And I think my number 1 would probably be one that a lot of people would agree on. And again, I'm really surprised, kind of like with most of these, that we haven't got a Blu-ray release yet. And that is The Hitcher. Now, I don't know if this has a Blu-ray release overseas. I don't think it does. I remember, you know, Arrow released a book, and I thought that was really cool. I'd never read the book, but you know, I'd seen people talk about it, you know, heard it was really good, and I was like, that's really cool that Arrow was able to release a book. However, we've never got a Blu-ray release. At least in the US, we've never gotten a Blu-ray release. And The Hitcher is one of the best suspense thrillers out there. If you've seen the remake, which I actually am a fan of the remake, there's the original film, and you know, again, you know, some people talk about it, some people don't. But when they do talk about it, it is one of these movies that a lot of people wonder why we still haven't got a Blu-ray release. So hopefully one day, The Hitcher, like many of these and other DVDs out there, will get a Blu-ray release. But The Hitcher, if you've not seen it, you know, you probably know the premise that the remake had. This one pretty much has that same premise. Of course, it's the original movie. Premiered on HBO back in the 80s. It has a young Thomas C. Howell, Rutger Hauer, and Jennifer Jason Leigh's in this movie. Great movie. You know, again, the 80s had so many great horror movies, slasher films, thrillers, and this was one of the best thrillers from the 80s. So Hitcher, I still have my Snapper Case DVD. That's how old this is. I would love for this to get a Blu-ray release. So hopefully one day we get it. That would be so cool. But anyway, guys, I'm sure I left off some other movies. You know, there are still DVD copies or DVDs out there that have yet to get Blu-rays. And like I mentioned with some of my honorable mentions, there's some movies that don't have legit DVDs. So hopefully one day these movies and many more get the Blu-ray treatment, maybe even the 4K treatment. Blu-ray I would just love. That would be so cool. Because again, we got so many companies out there now releasing amazing Blu-ray titles, and then there's just some movies that still have yet to get those treatments. So hopefully one day they get them. That would be awesome. But as always, guys, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. I hope you guys are having a great day. Stay safe, and I will be back with another video soon. So I wanted to do something a little bit differently. I love scary movies. I love horror movies. And so I wanted to make a different video. So other honorable mentions real quick before I go. Trick or Treat, I forgot about that one. Fright Night Part 2. I do have Blu-ray on-demand copies of those. But again, they've never gotten Blu-ray releases. They have gotten DVD releases, but never Blu-ray releases. So those are other ones I forgot to pull, but I would love if those would get like legit Blu-rays. So that would be really neat. They might have them overseas, I'm not sure, but those would be some really cool ones. But anyway, guys, once again, I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be back for more videos to come. Stay tuned. As always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. And with a positive, out with a negative. Stay safe, and go eat some Skittles. Alright, guys. Bye.